Under the blistering sun, Prince Elroy journeys far from Norgard with his attendant Yue and their guards, traversing the barren, sun-scorched land. Elroy notices the passing days, and Yue tells him that nearly 2 weeks have passed since they left Norgard. She does not realize that they have truly reached Ouroboros, the very edge of the world. Elroy, equally astonished, reflects on the emptiness before him, a landscape so vast that no one could have imagined it. Galliera, sitting beside him, senses how long it has been since she last bathed, and Yuzuriha gently reminds her that speaking so casually before a member of the royal family is inappropriate. Galliera seriously replies that Yuzuriha, despite being a guard, should understand that as a royal family member. She wonders if Yuzuriha is worried. Meanwhile, Yui reassures Elroy that she cannot return to the luxurious life of the capital, and emphasizes she does not even wish to. Elroy nods in agreement. She notes his youth, amazed at how a 12-year-old could contend with the other princes of the capital. Embarrassed, Elroy explains that staying in the capital would have cost them too many lives. At the edge of this world, he assures them they will live freely and the vast empty land holds endless possibilities. Yui suggests he can make the place magnificent, while the others are exhausted. As Yui studies the map, a memory stirs a 3-year-old report about a nearby village. Just then, the coachman spots something, and when Elroy asks, he warns that the old report cannot be ignored. They spot the area and realize it is Langdolk, the first colony of Ouroboros. Galliera wishes aloud for hot springs, and Yuzuriha teases that she never stops mentioning them. The group moves toward the village. An eerie silence greets them. As they advance, something feels off among the villagers gathered there, their hostility evident. Elroy approaches, but the villagers misinterpret his intentions and demand to know what he wants. Suddenly, Goran appears, shouting that no one should touch his daughter Sasha and threatening merciless punishment, even to his own people. The villagers question him, wondering if he plans to turn his daughter into an undead, and if he would let the village be destroyed to protect her. Goran calmly affirms he will not abandon the village, nor Sasha. The village chief warns him that if he becomes undead too, the village would be annihilated, cautioning against misunderstanding. 2 boys appear with swords and respectfully explain to Goran that their actions are for the village's welfare. Elroy offers to handle the task, insisting he should purify the undead curse. The boy holding a sword questions his ability, and Elroy reassures him that he can. They realize he's not from the village and doesn't resemble a priest. The chief, astonished, asks if he can truly purify her. Elroy confirms he can heal the girl. The chief doubts his seriousness. Goran rushes to his daughter, emphasizing the urgency. The chief reminds him he knew this could happen, but Goran assures him he will apologize later and requests Elroy to accompany him. Elroy introduces himself as Mosina Norgard, leaving everyone astonished at his identity. As he moves alongside Goran, the sword-wielding boy readies himself to strike, but Yui urges caution, assuring Elroy that she can handle the threat. Courageously, she faces the danger. Elroy reaches Sasha, who lies blue and unconscious. Goran gently comforts her, his eyes turning to Elroy with a flicker of hope. Elroy directs the purifying flames toward Sasha. Fire bursts forth, leaving her father in stunned disbelief. He warns them to douse the flames. Sasha has not yet become undead. Yui intervenes, firmly preventing any harm to her master, and assures that Sasha has already been purified. Gradually, Sasha's color returns and she recovers. Tears fill Goran's eyes as Elroy makes him realize that waiting just 5 more minutes would have been too late. Goran collapses in relief, deeply thanking him for saving his daughter and the village. He urges him to share any wishes, and Elroy reminds him that helping his subjects is a feudal lord's duty. Goran, surprised, listens as Elroy explains that as Grand Duke of Ouroboros, he has come to rule this land. Elroy introduces himself, showing respect and pleasure at meeting them. Goran, astonished by Elroy royal lineage, bows his head in respect, while Yui reminds him that burning an undead curse is no trivial task. Night falls. Once again, the chief thanks Elroy for saving Sasha and the village, expressing heartfelt gratitude. Elroy reassures him that aiding his subjects is his responsibility, especially in this harsh land. The chief further explains that Ouroboros is a land of extreme trials for the living. The village lies nearby, and its people live in fear of monsters and the undead, barely surviving, with illness often claiming lives without treatment. Elroy understands the gravity and promises that such harsh life will not endure. The chief, astonished, listens as Elroy pledges to change it, declaring he will make Ouroboros an enviable land for all. Elroy realizes that no matter what special power he has been granted, there is a limit to what he can achieve alone. The awareness strikes him deeply, a memory resurfacing from when his past life returned at the age of 5. Descending into the dim basement, he recalls being an ordinary Japanese man who once ran a small restaurant, still unable to understand why fate has given him another life in this strange world. When he opens the large vault, the truth dawns upon him that he is now the 5th prince of the Norgard kingdom. While exploring the royal library, he understands that his knowledge and awareness, though sharp, are bounded. It has always been that way. A shadow lunges and a man in black strikes with a knife, cutting his face. Pain sears as he realizes the truth of the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. He does not yet realize that only direct royal heirs are permitted into the forbidden library or the danger that comes with breaking that rule. But fate intervenes. His unique gift of abnormal luck in moments of grave peril summons Yui to him. She arrives at the brink of death, calm and resolute. Under the Liberation Pact, she claims the right to protect him. Facing the assassin head-on, her shadow magic unfurls like living darkness. The man struggles, but the shadows consume him completely, leaving silence in their wake. When the danger passes, Yui turns to Elroy, her voice gentle yet firm, and vows to stay by his side for life. From that moment, he meets Yui, his maid and eternal familiar. Time moves on. He learns that a true master hides his claws, and until the day he is nearly assassinated, arrogance blinds him. Believing his abilities make him invincible, he missteps, using power without caution. His political talent, once an asset in the royal court, turns into a burden. As tales of his brilliance spread, jealousy festers. His half-siblings watch him with suspicion, and each meal begins to taste of fear. Even his food might be poisoned. In the spring of his first year, everything collapses. The queen accuses him of murder. With his mother, a low-ranking noble, no one dares to defend him. The charge is false, yet he is condemned, and left clinging to the last shred of hope for his reputation as a prodigy. He also loses the trust of his father, the king who once shielded him. The warmth of protection fades, and he stands utterly alone. But fate spares him once more. His sister Marguerite, wife of Prince No. 1, and Cornelia, fiancée of Prince No. 2, are in his room during a magical lesson. Their presence becomes his salvation, his alibi that clears him of guilt. Even so, the king decrees that Elroy can no longer remain in the palace. The very next day, his exile is announced. Officially, he is granted the title of Grand Duke of Ouroboros, but behind that noble title lies a silent death sentence. The day of departure arrives. His brother Robin stands beside him, as does his uncle Johann and his steadfast companion, Yui. As he prepares to leave, Marguerite's eyes glisten with sorrow. She knows he has done nothing wrong. Elroy offers her a calm smile, thanking her softly that her actions have saved his life. Cornelia's temper flares. She calls jealousy the ugliest trait of men and scolds him for leaving so young. He reminds her gently that a lady should not speak so bluntly. Cornelia, proud yet emotional, is the fiancée of Prince No. 2 and Marguerite's sister. Before leaving, he thanks both women for their kindness despite his low birth. Because of them, the hatred of the elder princes burns even stronger. Marguerite introduces him to her guard, Tsuihousareta, a master archer skilled in wind magic, stronger than any knight. She tells him he may command her as he pleases. Next comes the mercenary Galliera, bold and confident. Elroy thanks her, but as his gaze falters awkwardly, he asks with quiet concern if she is truly willing to go with him. He warns them both that Ouroboros is a remote, nearly forgotten frontier. Tsuihousareta assures him she will follow anywhere if it is for his safety, while Galliera remarks that mercenaries grow used to such journeys. Their loyalty warms him. He smiles faintly and reaches into his bag, offering a small gift to Marguerite. She asks what it is, and he explains it's a magical artifact that hides the bearer's appearance when touched. Invisible to others, tangible only by touch. She stares, astonished that such an item could be made so quickly. He admits he once planned to use it to escape prison if needed. She laughs lightly, saying she might use it herself to flee someday. He chuckles, assuring her he only jokes. She then reminds him she has left a hawk to keep in contact through Tsuihousareta and insists he write regularly. Cornelia adds that he must also send letters to her and, if possible, bring back a souvenir. Elroy nods, promising earnestly to do his best, and with that he leaves. Elroy Mosina Norgard, 12 years old. His legend, filled with trials and triumphs, begins here as he sets out to reveal his true power. Elroy stands lost in thought when Yui approaches, her voice serious as she asks what he is staring at so blankly. He tells her honestly that back at the palace every day was a fight for survival, but here he no longer has to hold back. He reassures her that this time he will not repeat his mistakes. Feeling the chill, he notices it and begins walking back with her toward the chief's house. He mentions that tomorrow they will start clearing land for farming, and she senses the determination in him. The next day with the chief, he inspects the soil. It is poor, salty, and nearly lifeless. Using his power, he revitalizes the entire area and informs the chief that the land is fully restored. The chief watches in astonishment as Elroy works effortlessly. He assures him that the true results will appear once they plant the seeds and wait a few days. He presents the seeds: komatsuna, radish, shiso, turnips, corn, potatoes, and basil. The chief is surprised by the variety, and Elroy calmly explains that he has survived harsher situations before. He also notes that it is remarkable that, despite the harsh land and limited resources, they have made it this far. The chief acknowledges their efforts, and Elroy promises that no further suffering will be necessary. Next, he tells the chief they need a wall. Using his strength, he builds a massive earthen wall, impressively solid. Galliera observes that it feels far stronger than necessary for just dirt. Elroy explains that even a charging demon boar could not break it. The villagers rejoice, freed from fear. Tears fill the chief's eyes as he feels relief and security. Elroy reassures him not to bow, holding his hand, and observes that Langdalk has suffered far more than he imagined. He explains the village's plight as monsters, starvation, and disease have left them surviving day by day. He vows to end it. He turns to the chief to discuss the main matter. Kingdom records show 3 villages in the region, which the chief confirms. He further explains that life here has become very difficult, and roughly half the people have moved north in search of better land. He continues that 2 years ago, a messenger reported a newly established village. Though the land and water were far better, the area is crawling with monsters and some demi-humans live nearby. Elroy clarifies whether he means orcs, but the chief says dwarves are more likely. Elroy feels relieved and sees an even better opportunity. He immediately instructs the chief to mobilize and help the other villages without delay. Holding his hand, the chief assures him that he will always be grateful. Elroy assures him that he will help whenever possible, considering all of them his own people. The chief, deeply moved, expresses his gratitude, while Elroy humbly adds that titles are unnecessary, and confirms that the group indeed went north. The chief explains that they crossed Mount Arlat just north of here. Elroy immediately instructs them to depart without delay. The chief, concerned, notes that the villagers know nothing about the land beyond Arlat. Elroy calmly assures him that he and Yui will manage the situation on their own, leaving everyone around them astonished. He advises that before crossing the mountain, the monsters must be eliminated and the area secured. Hearing the word monsters, the chief is shocked, but Elroy explains that they are the exact obstacles blocking progress. The villagers realize that after the monsters are gone, they will finally be able to focus on farming. Elroy and Yui inform them they will handle defense for now and request some guards reassigned to work in the fields. The chief, feeling concerned, asks if he is sure about it. Elroy calmly assures him that it is fine, explains they will know by tomorrow, and continues ahead with his companions. On the way, Goran offers to help with the hunt. Elroy thanks him but notes that his daughter is not fully healed yet and should not be overexerted. He reassures Goran that they can manage on their own. Yui observes that she only needs to hold back slightly and take it easy. Elroy observes that the area is infested with goblins. Goran explains that they regularly raid the fields and must be repeatedly eliminated, yet their numbers continue to grow. Elroy watches as goblins emerge from the fields, rushing toward them. Goran warns that the goblins are calling for reinforcements and must be stopped immediately. Elroy takes control, ensuring it is easier if they attack together, and uses his coagulate power to strike them, defeating all the goblins at once. Goran watches in astonishment as Elroy explains that it is his first time testing the ability and notes that goblins have platelets too. He elaborates that he used magic to create a cerebral blood clot in their defenses. Goran cannot believe it, but Elroy explains that when he was 8, he was poisoned at the palace, which gave him resistance to poison and the ability to manipulate it. Goran is left completely amazed. Goran's eyes widen as he spots a massive horned apparition near the village, unable to comprehend how something so enormous could appear so close. Yue, still composed, finishes her words and with a single surge of magic obliterates the creature instantly. A Shadowmancer is revealed, freezing Yuzuriha and Galera in awe as they realize this is part of the ancient legend, as assassins capable of striking from the shadows. Robin, watching intently, recalls that it once took an entire nation and devastating magic to eradicate such beings. Galera, bewildered, and questions his meaning. The others remember having assumed Yui is merely Elroy's familiar. Yui affirms that she is indeed her master's familiar, nothing more, nothing less. Yet they hesitate to believe her, recalling how differently she had acted when making those excessive demands of Elroy. Yui notes that a maid is expected to act as a mother, sister, and even a lover to her master, calling it common sense. The others protest, shocked, insisting that this is anything but common sense. Elroy eases the tension by ordering Goran to return the meat to the village, noting its valuable protein. Goran, grateful, admits he can't remember the last time they had such meat. The chief sees the rare opportunity and tells Goran to prepare the supplies once his grace leaves. Goran assures he will gather the men and start hauling it back immediately. Meanwhile, Elroy informs them that he and Yui will scout Mount Arlat, the other village, and the dwarven settlement. Goran wishes to accompany them, even if alone. Elroy acknowledges his desire but explains that her shadow step only works on him, reassuring that they are united like light and shadow. Without a servant contract, no one else can follow her into the shadows. Goran remains unconvinced. Galera questions the purpose of the guards, but Elroy reassures her that no reckless action will be taken, and that they will return within a week. Yui confirms that if any danger arises, she will drag him into the shadows and retreat immediately. The men watch Yui intently as Yuzuriha silently reminds them they are enemies of all women. Yui signals Elroy to depart before sunset, and he nods. She uses her shadow step magic, clearing the path entirely. Elroy follows into the shadows, trusting her fully. Robin watches with a pang of jealousy. As they move, Elroy reminds the guards that he expects their report, and Yuzuriha assures him it will please the princess. He nods, promising his best effort. Watching them leave, Goran senses the immense power in Elroy's grace and Yui's skill. Everyone realizes that the duo commands full attention. Yuzuriha senses a new kind of danger in their being alone, though Galera dismisses her concern. Elroy and Yui finally reach Scout Mount Arlat and the surrounding lands. She grows tired, and he notes her skillful management of mana. She acknowledges that it has been a long time since she pushed herself so close to depleting her magic. He marvels at the distance they covered with Shadow Step, impressed by its draining nature. She advises resting there for the night, pointing out that shadow magic will cease after sunset, and gently reminds him that it has been long since they were alone together. As the sun sets, she comments on the beauty of the land, and he observes it is far from barren. Night falls, and they sit by the fire. He remarks that thanks to her, a 2-day journey was completed in mere hours. She simply says she is doing her job. He suggests planning ahead and sketching a basic map of the area. Suddenly, she hugs him, proud of her efforts and seeking praise. He notices the Shadowmancers, flawless assassins once celebrated as the strongest in the world, emerging from the darkness to claim lives in an instant. They exist as beings of the night, allies of darkness, and seeing Yui now, he understands that this was the life she was always meant to lead, a woman fated for solitude. He attempts to stop her impulsive display, but she reassures him she is only with him and that they are meant to be together, just the two of them. He becomes aware of the support surrounding him. Robin gave up knighthood to stay by his side. His uncle Johann left the Ministry of Internal Affairs for him, and Yuzuriha and Galera followed him to this remote frontier. Marguerite and Cornelia also place high hopes on him. Elroy reassures Yui that he cannot sever all ties, but she will remain by his side no matter what. Her eyes gleam as if she understands the depth of his words, though he explains that he never meant it that way when she suddenly kisses him. He immediately senses her power and moves to gently restrain her. Observing her struggle with her weak spot, he calmly reassures her, even as her frustration rises. In the dark night, memories resurface. Elroy urges her not to dwell on them, but she insists they are precious and cannot be discarded. He recalls the night she saved him from death, the danger so real he feared assassination at any moment. Panicked, he clung to her and wept like a child. He wishes he could erase that memory. The thought prompts him to ask Yui her last name, but she tells him it is a secret. Though she never shares her family name, They stay awake talking through the night. As he suspected from her name, Yui is a reincarnated Japanese girl. She is unsure whether she was reincarnated or summoned. But by the time she gains clarity, she is already training in an assassin village. The villagers immediately recognize her potential, subjecting her to brutal brainwashing and intense training. With immense mana and rare reincarnator skills combined with harsh and twisted discipline, she becomes a fearsome assassin. She grows so dangerous she could easily kill a king. In response, the world's rulers send an allied force to her village, massacring everyone, including children. This is only the beginning. When the village is destroyed, the brainwashing fades. Freed and unstable, Yue unleashes havoc, feared like a demon king. They barely manage to seal her away. How she came to serve Elroy after he broke the seal remains a secret she never shares. Watching her now, he realizes this explains her deep affection toward him, overly devoted even from the start. It may also connect to the one memory he cannot recall how he died in his past life. Stepping closer, she confirms she will remain by his side, and Elroy reassures her he only wishes to spare her. The next day, Elroy reminds her that thanks to her, they have crossed both Mount Arlat and the next mountain range in just a day and a half. When they arrive, the sight of unexpected greenery spreads before them, calm yet deceptive. He notes that the richer the land, the more dangerous their path becomes. She quietly agrees. Without warning, two monsters lunge at them. Yui reacts instantly, shadows swirling around her as she freezes them mid-attack. Elroy watches, once again struck by her precision and strength. On his turn, he uses a rare spell, a World Unleashed. Power hums through him as he manages to control the creature, though he feels the limits of his range quickly tightening. With a sharp command, he unleashes ignition, and the monster burns to ash. Yui, impressed, asks how he managed to immobilize it. He explains it was atmospheric pressure control at high altitudes. Air pressure drops, making evaporation easier. He lowered the pressure around the monster in an instant, forcing its blood to boil. The explanation chills the air between them. Her expression flickers with awe and unease. Then her eyes sharpen as she sees two more monsters appearing ahead, their enormous forms shaking the ground. Elroy stares, momentarily stunned, the sight reminding him of a kaiju battle. Yui teases him for showing his age, and he quickly defends himself. Their brief, tense laughter fades as they realize that both of them belong to the same lineage. Yui narrows her eyes and identifies them as a deep Apophis and an elder Cyclops. Both of them stand frozen in shock, unable to understand why two boss-level monsters would suddenly turn on each other. Regaining composure, Yui explains that the deep Apophis is a serpent god born of lakes, one of the highest-ranking water monsters, while the elder Cyclops is a rare variant feared for its terrifying regeneration and brute strength. Elroy decides the best move is to retreat, and Yui agrees without argument. Just as they prepare to withdraw, a voice cries out behind them, pleading for them to stop. They turn and see a girl standing atop a monster, desperation in her eyes as she begs them to listen to her. Elroy stares in disbelief, realization dawning this might be the first real lead on the missing settlers. They are confused, unsure if they have really come across one of the missing settlers. Yui struggles to determine whether this is yet another twist of his unbelievable luck, and the thought leaves her momentarily frozen. She laughs nervously, suggesting to him that perhaps it is some hidden curse that draws trouble to him, along with his good fortune. Embarrassed, he tells her that this is no laughing matter. Watching the two monsters and the girl seated atop Apophis, he wonders if she might be a monster tamer. Yui quickly realizes that if she really is one, then her ability is remarkable, especially since Deep Apophis is a divine-ranked creature worshipped by some. With that thought, he understands that the girl may actually be the priestess of Deep Apophis. The monster's violent clash unsettles both of them, and Elroy decides to help the girl. Yui warns him that an elder Cyclops can regrow even severed limbs, making it incredibly difficult to handle. Elroy knows she is right. The creature's regeneration is a constant threat. He considers freezing its blood to block the veins, wondering if it can survive that. He knows that monsters rely on brain signals for movement. If the blood flow to the brain stops, even an elder Cyclops cannot survive, no matter how terrifying its healing abilities are. The moment he uses his ability, Cyclops' eyes snap toward him. Yui steps forward protectively. Elroy reminds her that top-tier monsters are on a different level. She tells him with tense seriousness that if a few more like this were roaming around, they would be doomed. He sees that if the beast's left arm weren't restrained, It might have broken his spell. He intensifies the magic, hoping it works. The Cyclops' brain begins to falter, its movements losing control. Elroy realizes his spell is taking effect and accelerates the process. The creature screams, the pressure overwhelming it, before it finally collapses. Yui looks at him sternly, questioning if he has done something extreme again. Elroy admits he microwaved the water particles in the Cyclops' blood and superheated them with magic. She stares at him in shock. The girl atop Apophis climbs down, sees the fallen Cyclops, and bursts into tears, completely lost. Yui tells Elroy he went too far. He regrets it and approaches the girl gently, assuring her he is not here to harm her. He asks whether she is the priestess of Deep Apophis. She confirms and introduces herself as Stella, priestess of Lopu Nol. She thanks him, realizing she did not lose her sacred guardian because of him. Her telepathy amazes both of them, and Yui understands she is someone truly worthy of reverence. Curious and surprised, they ask why she was fighting an elder Cyclops. Stella explains that the dwarves were mining nearby. Both of them are shocked, and Elroy asks if she is a dwarf. She confirms, and he apologizes before requesting details. She explains that they discovered an adamantite vein while mining, but the passage led into an underground labyrinth that belonged to the Cyclopes. The monsters grew furious, and a battle erupted between the dwarves and the Cyclopes. At first, the dwarves had the advantage, but then an elder Cyclops appeared far stronger than the others, and even attacked Lopu Nol. Apophis reveals that this was when Stella and he challenged it to a final showdown. Stella explains that their god survived because of him, and expresses their gratitude, promising they will do whatever they can to repay him. Observing everything, Yui notes how adorable Stella looks when trying to act mature. Elroy, confused, wonders why she is saying that while looking at him. She cheerfully tells him he is adorable too. He insists he never pretends to act older, and she teases him by asking if she should reveal his real age. Their argument sparks, and suddenly Apophis politely asks whether they can take their couple-like quarrel elsewhere. Elroy turns red, insisting they are not a couple. Stella doesn't believe it and points out how perfectly in sync they are. Apophis then asks where they came from. Elroy points toward Mount Arlat and explains they came from beyond it. Stella is shocked, asking if they are not from Solrythe. Elroy tells her they came searching for it. She is stunned and admits she never knew anyone lived beyond the mountain. Elroy explains that the land there is barren, but elder Cyclops-type monsters are not found in that region. Stella grows even more surprised. Apophis suggests that Elroy should take the elder Cyclops' core and heart, as they are precious. Stella agrees and tells him that, although he has the right to keep them, she asks him to sell them to Lopu Nol, because it would greatly help rebuild their village. Elroy introduces himself as Elroy Mosina Norgard, appointed lord of both Langdalk and Solrythe villages. Stella is amazed, and he explains he holds the title only in name for now. With excitement, Stella invites him to visit Lopu Nol, promising to guide him to Solrythe as well.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.